In this episode, I go back in time, we ask, are 13-hour days reasonable? And someone asks a question that really pisses me off. Welcome to episode 5 of the Ask Will show. Remember, you can ask your questions using the hashtag Ask Will show, not Ask Will. We covered this in the last episode. Basically, there's so many people using Ask Will that it's becoming a pain in the arse to try and suss it all out. So yeah, use Ask Will show and we'll get them featured on the show. You can ask your questions on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, which most likely you are, you can ask a question in the comments below. So with all that said, let's jump into the questions.
Carissa P asks, how much should you be talking as a sales rep versus the prospect? How much should you be listening rather than talking?
So it's kind of cliched, but salespeople should always listen more than what they speak. And that is because you are trying to suck information out of the prospect. You're trying to find out whether they're ready to buy, you're trying to qualify them, you're trying to go through all the standard stuff in the sales process, and you're also trying to build rapport with someone. And it's far easier to build rapport with someone from learning about them and having them tell you stories, and that gets you into their kind of like personal life a little bit more so than you telling your stories. That comes on later on in the rapport building process. One thing I would say though is that when I'm selling, I'm not there to make friends with people, at least not at first. I want to ask them questions about the sales process and questions that are going to move me forwards. I don't really care at first about the kids or the dog or that they've got a lake in the backyard that they go sailing on. I don't know. I don't really care about any of that. If they're a customer and I'm dealing with them for a long period of time, then I do care because I want to build a long-term relationship with them. But at first, I want to solve the business problem. I want to give them real value up front, and the only way you can do that is by saving them money, making their lives easier, or saving them time. Those kind of 4 things, and there's different twists on them, but that is generally it. If you can't do one of them, then you need to move on to the next person. Simple as that. So yes, you should be asking questions and listening more at first especially, but you should only be doing it to move it further down the sales process, not because you're a good Samaritan and you want to know, or you want them to vent at you. All that kind of stuff comes in the future. And it's an exchange of value. They've got to give you some cash and some capital, and then you can spend your time with them.
When you were beginning your sales career, what advice do you have for others who are just starting out? Zudson asks,
so good question, and this is down to you, and it's down to the garage you're at, and it's down to the amount of money that you want to earn and the commissions and everything that you're doing. If you're working 13-hour days, there is no way, you cannot tell me that, so what would that be? That would be 4 in the morning till 5 p.m. There's no way you're selling during that period. Now you might be prospecting, you might be building up a network, you might be building up a list of people that have come in but not bought but might buy in the future. You might be following up with people that bought a year ago so that you're top of mind when they come to buy a car in another 18 months time or whatever it is. In which case, because you're selling within a certain region, you'll probably find that after a couple of years, you'll have a really good database of people. You've done a lot of the legwork in building that rapport. They know who you are, you've broken out of obscurity. And so the amount of hours that you've got to put in may die down for the same amount of money that you're going to earn. You might be able to hit your targets with less hours. So when you look at it from that perspective, all you're doing is investing time at the moment to free up time in the future, which is kind of, I guess, the answer to your question. Now, if you are going in and doing 13-hour work days, you're not hitting target and you're not doing all that, then obviously you're doing something wrong, in which case you need to take a step back, perhaps look at some sales training. Maybe the basics aren't quite right, or you need to just suss out, are you working in the right job? If you're having to do 13 hours a day and you're not making decent money, then you're in the wrong place, because you can go somewhere else, do 13 hours and make serious money as a salesperson if you're doing everything right.
Kaha asks, name a few things you wish you could tell yourself when you were beginning your sales career. What advice do you have for others who are just starting out?
Wow, thank you for this question. So this is a question or very similar to what I ask everyone that comes on the Salesman podcast, which I'll link up here somewhere. And yeah, what would I go back in time? Well, first off, I don't think I'm some kind of sales guru or expert or anything like that. All I do in this show is give, some stories of when I've been and worked in sales, and I've always done all right. And on the podcast, all I do is interview people who are experts and quote unquote gurus and all that. So, and then pull their knowledge and hopefully share it with you. So yeah, I don't think I'm an expert, so I'm not going to have some crazy answer for this. But going back in time, I would set a goal. So now I am saving. I want to buy certain things. I want to retire at a certain age. Even though I'll probably carry on with everything once I'm retired, that financial security is really important to me. So that's what I'm working towards. Knowing that, when I was 24, 25, when I got into sales originally, I would then have worked way harder. I would have put in way more hours, and I wouldn't have minded wasting, because you're essentially, well, not wasting, but you're investing a part of your life to have the benefits further down the line. I would have gone all in rather than the 70, 80% in and the 20, 30% partying that I was doing at the time. I would have gone all in, and I would have been in a better position now for that. So that's what I would probably have done if I go back in time. I would have, because you can always work harder. I will look back now. So I'm doing this show daily. I'm doing the podcast 3 times a week, which is going to become daily in the next few weeks. I'm doing multiple blog posts a day. I'm managing a team that is running the blog, and I've got, managing the podcast editors and the producers, and we're launching the sales school very shortly. So you'll hear more about that on the show. And we're doing a whole bunch, but I know that I'll look back in a year's time and I'll be able to have squeezed a couple more hours out of it. I'll be able to be more efficient. And so what I'm saying about hard work and focus and having an end goal is probably the same thing that I would tell myself in 10 years, then when I'm 50, then when I'm 60. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question.
Zutsunvantes asks, is mediocrity and a mundane lifestyle acceptable if you're a salesman?
Unfathomably no. That's just an absolutely ridiculous question to ask, and I think you're probably playing my buttons here a little bit because you know that I'm passionate about this. If you're a reader of the blog or if you listen to the podcast, no one should be living a mundane life. If you're listening to this or watching this, you have a laptop, a computer, a phone or a tablet, you have access to the internet, you are one of the most wealthy, I don't know the numbers, but probably one of the most wealthy 5-10% in the whole of the world. Even if you feel like you're doing rubbish at the moment, you might be doing amazing at the moment. But the point being that you have all these benefits, you have access to the internet, you can achieve pretty much anything you want to within reason. I'm not saying that everyone's going to become a billionaire. I am saying that if a goal of yours is to run a marathon, well, that's a bad example because it's probably a good example because most people could run a marathon. You might not be able to do it fast, but you get there to the end. One of my goals is to see what remains of all the ancient wonders of the world. Obviously that costs money, but it's not incomprehensible to say most people who have access to the internet have, if you've got access to the internet, you're still so far ahead of everyone that isn't impossible. If you're living a mundane life, it's down to you. A lot of people blame sales. They have to do lots of hours. They have to do this. They've got the admin. They can't, commit to things because of all that. That's absolute bullshit. If that is your excuse, they're using it as an excuse rather than looking perhaps deeper within without wanting to sound hippie, but you're using external excuses because it's easier to live a mundane life than it is to go out there and push out and push your boundaries and commit to things and to achieve things. So yeah, I really hope that question was designed to annoy me and not because that's what you're considering doing. And yeah, if that is what you're considering doing, then you need to get off YouTube. You need to go sell some stuff, buy some stuff that you want, and go and experience some things that you've always wanted to experience. If not, you're going to die, be miserable, and your life sucks. Simple as that. And on that note, guys, that is the end of this episode. Sorry, that sounded a bit morbid, but that would motivate me if I listened back to this, and hopefully I will listen back to this. And this is one of the reasons I want to do the show, because it will show an evolution over time of what we're doing at salesman.red. And yeah, hopefully I'll look back on this in a year's time, think, oh, what a dick, so rubbish on camera, so rubbish speaking, rubbish answers, but there'll be that much progression that I'll be happy with it. So with all that said, if you want to join us on this journey, click the subscribe button. And yeah, question for the comments. what do you think? Do you think it is okay to live a mundane life? I guess if you're happy and you're not hurting anyone, or should everyone be pushing to live an extraordinary life?